Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Andy's Witchcraft by me, Sacred Moon. I hope you're all having a wonderful day so far, and hopefully you're enjoying the wonderful springtime weather that has come. Today's episode, we are talking about the next Wheel of the Year holiday, and I think this is the last one of my Wheel of the Year holiday series. Which, oh my gosh, guys, that means I've been podcasting for almost an entire year now. This is wild. This journey has been wild. I want to thank all of my listeners and my followers for sticking around, for posting my episodes, for shouting me out, for, buying readings off of me. It has been a wonderful journey, and I cannot wait for future years and future celebrations to come. So thank you all from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. That being said, let's get started on celebrating Beltane, talking more about its history and how you can celebrate it too. Let's go. So, you may be asking if you're a baby witch or new witch, whatever the term you want to call, witchling, what is Beltane? What is that? It's also known as May Day, and that is because it is celebrated on May 1st in the northern hemisphere at least. Beltane is the halfway point between the spring equinox and the summer solstice. The word Beltane comes from the Celtic Bal or Bel, which means bright one. Beltane is therefore a Celtic word, and it translates roughly to the fires of Bel. Bel is likely referred to as the Celtic sun god Belinus. So it's kind of hypothesized that this celebration was originally done to celebrate the Celtic sun god. This holiday is about celebrating life. It is one of the most sacred days of the pagan holidays because it is a time when we honor the union of the divine couple, God and goddess, divine masculine, divine feminine, and from this union, it is said that all life springs forth. Many cultures celebrate some type of fertility festival during this time of year. In ancient times, farmers would build bonfires at night and walk their cattle between the flames. This was done to ensure protection and fertility for the coming season. So protection magic using fire, the element of fire, is huge during Beltane. People also walk the perimeter of their property or towns to invoke added protection over the coming year. Doorways, windows, and livestock were decorated with yellow flowers during Beltane to ensure prosperity, happiness, and protection. Modern Beltane celebrations are an opportunity to take time for yourself, to give thanks to the earth for its bounty and blessings, and to set intentions for the coming harvest season. Dew gathered on Beltane was thought to have special properties to increase beauty and youthfulness as well. So we have tons of magic that's going on here. We got protection, we got abundance/fertility, we got beauty, glamour, magic. There's so much to be done here, and it is truly a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful holiday. With that basic intro in mind, let's talk about some mythologies and traditions surrounding Beltane. In addition to those old traditions that I spoke about, the mythologies are that Beltane is believed to be the time of the thinning veil. Now, don't get this confused with Samhain, which is the thinning veil between the living and the dead. Beltane is the time where the veil between the human world and the world of the fae, fairies, or nature spirits is thinning. So some traditions believe that this is a good time to connect with these spirits and interact with the fae. Now again, word of caution, the fae are very, very much mischievous creatures. They do have manipulative tendencies, and some hate humans, and you should not interact with them at all. For more details, check out my episode on the Fae. I will link that below, and hopefully it'll give you some ways to give offerings to the Fae, do's and don'ts of working with the Fae and connecting with them, and just types of Fae and, different stuff like that. That's all going to be in that episode. Now, let's talk about some more old traditions. According to the Beltane lore, the great god, who's also known as the great stag, and the goddess would be represented by couples who laid together out in the fields. Even those who were long wed would be allowed to seek out new partners in the woods on this special night. So fertility and honoring the union of the divine masculine and feminine was huge, and there were many rituals and traditions done to do this. The rules that governed society were also loosened on May Day Eve, when Beltane fires blazed and the veil between the worlds seemed to lift. So, there were more loose laws. Now, it's kind of like the purge, if you think about it, which could have all ended awfully. But that was, back then what they did and they chose to do. And I think it was because of these additional protections that they would instill. The protection magics, they just believed that they were safe and that it was okay to do these things. Really interesting stuff. A Queen of May would be elected and she would bestow blessings to the townspeople. However, these pagan rituals obviously had a sexual component and they were frowned upon by church elders. As Ireland increasingly became converted to Christianity, the pious Puritans were outraged by the debauchery of Beltane celebrations. They made maypoles illegal in the mid-1600s, and they tried to put a halt to the Greenwood marriages that frequently took place on May Eve. The mentions of Beltane were banned. They were illegal. It was very difficult. That's when a lot of pagans went into hiding. Thankfully, we're not like that anymore. The society we live in is secular, or it should be secular, although we all know the flaws of governing organizations and governments and stuff. But regardless, it is wonderful that we have the ability to express ourselves and have these celebrations again. Historically speaking, the Celts used to light 2 bonfires because they believed it would purify themselves and increase their fertility. Those were the 2 bonfires that they would walk cattle between to ensure abundance, fertility, protection. And people would also leap over fires or walk around them clockwise to bring good luck and drive away evil spirits. And although these things are not popular, I think they're really cool, rituals and magic you could do. If you have a campfire, walking around it clockwise to bring good luck is really, really cool if you think about it. Babies conceived at Beltane were considered to be a gift from the gods, and they were sometimes referred to as Mary Begots. Mary Begots. Yeah. And because the mothers were impregnated during Beltane's merrymaking, they were believed to be sacred, and that's also where the name came from. But yeah, so those are a lot of the traditions, the history. There's not too much mythologies when it comes to deities and spiritual entities besides the Fae, but it's really cool stuff, and looking up the history was really interesting. So I really loved it. And that's why I love podcasting, because I learn new things and I do these research and I learn and I make my grimoire based on my episodes. It's really cool stuff. But yeah. So now let's talk about biblical associations with Beltane. I want to talk about these Bible verses that mention aspects of the Beltane season, as always. So let's go with that. The first category is fertility. I'm not going to be sharing the Bible verses on fertility here in this episode because I've done it so many times in other Wheel of the Year holiday episodes. So I'm going to post them below and you can skip forward and listen to these Bible verses and write them down, make notes, whatever you want to do. I'm going to link my Lunasaw episode, my Mabon episode, and my Imbolc episode. Those will be there. And they all mention aspects of fertility, especially in Christianity and the Bible. Number 2, working with fire. The properties of fire, Bible verses to purify your flames. If you want to, read Bible verses over the fire to purify it more, to give it more power and energy. You can check out my elemental magic episode on fire. I'm going to link that below. And you'll get more Bible verses on that there. So definitely check that out. It's useful stuff, and it's a beautiful way to celebrate Beltane. Now, don't worry. Now I'm going to be reading the actual Bible verses. The next category is the sun, the importance of the sun, the sacredness of the sun, all those things. Bible verses about the sun, and there's many more than what I'm about to list. They're great to represent Beltane, especially because, like I said, historically speaking, it was named after the Celtic sun god, and so just talking about the sun is important. Plus, it's the element of fire, right? So, without further ado, let's go. The first Bible verse I have comes from Genesis chapter 1, verse 16. And God made the two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night, and the stars. Next, we have Malachi chapter 4, verse 2. But for you who fear my name, the Sun of Righteousness shall rise with healing in its wings. You shall go out leaping like calves from the stall. Now, I love this verse because, number one, it mentions leaping, which, like, they jumped over flames, right? So, like, that was a cool, connection there. And to the Son of Righteousness, who is believed to be the Son of God, but it's spelt like Sun, S-U-N, which is really cool. But yeah, wordplay like that, I love. So that's like one of my favorite verses, and with healing. So it talks about the healing properties of the sun. Yeah, so I think it's really cool. Next, we got Psalm chapter 74, verse 16. Yours is the day, yours also the night. You have established the heavenly lights and the sun. Next, we have Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 5. The sun rises and the sun goes down and hastens to the place where it rises. Then we have Matthew chapter 13, verse 43. Then the righteous will shine like the sun in the kingdom of their Father. He who has ears, let him hear. Then we have 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 41. There is one glory of the sun, and another glory of the moon, and another glory of the stars, for star differs from star in glory. I love that because it talks about like the uniqueness of the stars. And the stars, I believe, are kind of like metaphors for humans. Every one of us differs from each other in glory. Our uniqueness is important. And the glory of the sun, which is like Yahweh, the glory of the moon, which is Asherah, glory of the stars, represented kind of, Jesus is included in the stars because, he is also a child of God like us, and we all just differ from one another in glory. So I really like metaphors like that. Astrology stuff is my thing, and I love it. Next, we have 2 Samuel chapter 12, verse 12. For you did it secretly, but I will do this thing before all Israel and before the sun. So kind of like the sun, which is the witness, who is witnessing our beings, and how it doesn't matter if anybody else witnesses it, but it matters that Yahweh witnesses it and sees what good we're doing in this world in his name, in his honor. And it's really cool how the sun is kind of like representative of that divine masculine. So it's really, really interesting stuff. The next category of Bible verses that are great to venerate and celebrate Beltane are caring for livestock. Now, I don't think I've ever covered this in previous episodes, which is weird that I haven't thought of that. But animals are sacred, just as sacred as we are. Like, just because we consume of meat does not mean that we don't acknowledge the sacredness. I still don't know if sacredness is a word, but it doesn't mean that we don't acknowledge the sacredness of animals. And I think it's important. And Beltane is just one of those times where we thank we remember to thank the animals for their sacrifices for our sustenance. And that's a huge thing even in Buddhism. We don't have to be vegetarian or vegan in Buddhism. Although, it's always, not pushed upon, but not recommended per se, but it's accepted practice to be a vegetarian or a vegan Buddhist. But if you are one that consumes meat, we have to remember to thank the animal for its sacrifice, for our being. We have to not waste it. We have to try to limit it, be mindful of what animals go through in order for us to get to eat from them. And caring for livestock is one of those things where that's an important thing to acknowledge, to care for them, to give them a full life before, eventually they are used for consumption of meat. And I think Beltane is just a great time to acknowledge that, to purify, protect the livestock, and then be mindful of what we are doing and how we treat these creatures. But yeah, so the first verse that I got to cover caring for livestock comes from Genesis chapter 1, verses 24 to 25. And God said, "Let the land produce living creatures according to their kinds, the livestock, the creatures that move along the ground, and the wild animals, each according to its kind." And it was so. God made the wild animals according to their kinds, the livestock according to their kinds, and all the creatures that move along the ground according to their kinds. And God saw that it was good. Next we have Psalms chapter 8, verses 6 to 9. You made them rulers over the works of your hands. You put everything under their feet, all flocks and herds, and the animals of the wild, the birds in the sky, and the fish in the sea, all that swim the paths of the seas. Lord, our Lord, how majestic is your name in all the earth. Next we have Proverbs chapter 12, verse 10. The righteous care for the needs of their animals, but the kindest acts of the wicked are cruel. Again, the righteous care for the needs of their animals. Caring for animals, that is important. Next we got Job chapter 12, verses 7 through 10. But ask the animals, and they will teach you, or the birds in the sky, and they will tell you. Or speak to the earth, and it will teach you. Or let the fish in the sea inform you. Which of all these does not know that the hand of the Lord has done this? In his hand is the life of every creature and the breath of all mankind. I love that. I'm going to pause there just to acknowledge this verse. Ask the animals, and they will teach you. A lot of people think that animals aren't as smart as humans, and because they don't have consciousness and whatever, yada yada. But we have so much we can learn from them. Like, these are creatures that just blindly trust that they will be provided for, and even though they have no concept of like a god or of religion or spirituality, they still just trust, and they do what they can to protect themselves and trust that they will be provided, and the flowers trust that it's going to rain and they'll get water, and that the soil will give them nutrients, and we should have a faith like that, where we should just trust that we will be provided for. And of course we have to do works, we have to put in the effort to be provided for. You can't just sit at home and say, God's going to give me $1 million and I will be fine and I'll be able to pay my bills. No, that's not what we're saying. Animals put in the work. They go out hunting for food, and they go out looking for water, and birds go out looking for sticks for their nests and all that. They put in the work, and we have to be like that. Put in the work, but also not stress that how am I gonna live today? How am I gonna provide for myself today, Put in the work and you'll be provided. And finally, for the caring for livestock, we have Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verses 18 to 21. I also said to myself, as for humans, God tests them, so that they may see that they are like the animals. Surely the fate of human beings is like that of the animals. The same fate awaits them both. As one dies, so dies the other. All have the same breath. Humans have no advantage over animals. Everything is meaningless. All go to the same place. All come from dust, and to dust all return. Who knows if the human spirit rises upward, and if the spirit of the animal goes down into the earth? Now, I like that because, like, a lot of, in religion, they say, oh, animals don't have a soul, so they can't go to heaven. But, like, how do you know animals don't have a soul? This kind of just reminds us, like, the fate of human beings is like that of the animals. And then it says, who knows if the human spirit rises upward and if the spirit of the animal goes down into the earth? Like, we don't know. So it really bugs me when, priests are like, dogs don't go to heaven. Like, no, you don't know that. You don't know that. You're not God. You don't know if an animal has a soul or not. I'm of the belief that animals do have a soul. I'm of the belief that every living creature has a soul. Like, that's just my belief. And this Bible verse really, like, solidifies that belief for me. So I absolutely love it. All these verses show the importance of caring for animals, for protecting them during the season, for thanking them for life. And yeah, so that's for that category. And now the last category of Bible verses for Beltane are on beauty, specifically the importance of inner beauty. I feel like a lot of like the glamour magic about beauty and youthfulness focuses so much on like the outer beauty that we don't recognize that we need to focus on our inner beauty, and that we need to do glamour magic to protect that inner beauty and to hold it sacred. And I think it's very important. So yeah, Bible verses on that. Let's go. First, we have Ephesians chapter 2, verse 10. For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do. Next, we have Song of Songs, chapter 4, verse 7. You are altogether beautiful, my darling. There is no flaw in you. I love that one. It's so beautiful. I kind of want to get it tattooed. There are so many verses and quotes I want to get tattooed, guys. It's too funny. Anyways, next we got Matthew chapter 6, verses 28 to 29. And why do you worry about clothes? See how the flowers of the field grow. They do not labor or spin, yet I tell you that not even Solomon in all his splendor was dressed like one of these. Then we have 1 Samuel chapter 16, verse 7. But the Lord said to Samuel, do not consider his appearance or his height, for I have rejected him. The Lord does not look at the things people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. Next we have Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 11. He has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity in the human heart. Yet no one can fathom what God has done from beginning to end. Then we have 1 Peter chapter 3, verses 3 to 4. Do not let your adorning be external, the braiding of hair and the putting on of gold jewelry or the clothing you wear, but let your adorning be the hidden person of the heart, with the imperishable beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit, which in God's sight is very precious. And finally, Isaiah chapter 40, verse 8. The grass withers, the flower fades, but the word of our God will stand forever. Now that one I like metaphorical, where like even if our physical appearance is not as beautiful, like as we age and stuff like that, the word of our God, which kind of like is like a metaphor to me for like love, for compassion, for human spirit, that's gonna stand forever. Your spirit stands forever, even when looks fade. So importance of inner beauty. Next, I want to talk about Buddhist traditions during Beltane. This is going to be a very short one, and I'm going to explain why in a minute. But first of all, many Buddhists venerate the Buddha Prajnaparamita during this time. She is a female Buddha who is known as the Great Mother of all the Buddhas. She is usually represented in yellow or white in color, with one head and two arms, although sometimes she may have more. The hands are in the teaching gesture or holding a lotus flower and the sacred book. She is frequently associated with a rosary, sword, which is like a metaphor for cleaving away ignorance, a thunderbolt, which symbolizes the emptiness or the void, and a begging bowl, which represents renunciation of material goods being a prerequisite to the obtaining of wisdom. So she is the divine feminine. She's venerated during this time in May. especially because during this time, again, union between the masculine and the feminine. I love that she's the personification of wisdom. Her and Ashra are very similar in that sense, and I love that. So it's really cool to learn about that there's a female Buddha. There are many female Buddhas, I'll tell you that. So the fact that like there's this one that's venerated specifically during the month of May, which is like month of Mother's Day, Mother Mary month even in Christianity. It's really cool stuff. And yeah, it's interesting to see these associations, which again, that's why I love these episodes. I love to learn these things. Now, the reason this section is not too long is because in May, the main holiday that Buddhists celebrate is Vesak. And if you want to know what it is, you can Google it, or you could stick around in 2 weeks when I will release my next podcast episode on it. I haven't done an episode specifically on Buddhism in a while, so I'm really excited for that. But yeah, wait 2 weeks, or you could Google it and learn a little more about it. But it's a really cool holiday, and it's going to be my first time celebrating it. I'm really excited for that. The second last section of this episode are Beltane associations. Now, these are items you can include on a Beltane altar if you choose to make one, or just associations to keep in mind to use to venerate and celebrate this holiday. So, first off, the element of Beltane is obviously fire. Talked about it throughout this episode. Shouldn't come to a shock, as a shock, whatever. And the colors, which again, some make sense and others may not so much. I don't know. It depends on you. But colors are red, white, brown, and summery colors like lush greens, sky blue, soft pink, yellows. Red is because it's a solar color and it symbolizes sexual energy for a holiday that started off as very sexual in nature. And on top of that, it represents the element of fire. So, yeah. White symbolizes purity. I don't know, maybe because purity of like cleansing and protection, probably why. That makes sense to me, I don't know. And summery colors because the warmer weather as we approach summer. And yeah. The next, we have foods and drinks associated with Beltane. Ripe seasonal fruits like strawberries, melons, and cherries are common here. Refreshing dairy products like yogurts, cold soups, milk, stuff like that. Oat cakes, sun-steeped tea, ale, dandelion wine or fruit wine. But if you're an alcoholic like me, maybe you should skip the alcohol stuff. Or leave it as an offering for your deities if you can handle that. But yeah, that I have to make a joke there sometimes, guys. This is how I cope. Crystals associated with Beltane are emerald, malachite, amber, orange carnelian, sapphire, and rose quartz. And symbols associated with Beltane are the maypole, which represents masculine power, a cauldron, which represents feminine power, because women who wanted to conceive a child would build a small fire and set the cauldron on it and then jump over the cauldron. That was an interesting fact. But yeah, so that was a huge fertility ritual that was common. Flower wreaths, a wand or a staff, broom, and candles. Animals associated with Beltane are a swallow, dove, swan, cats, lynx, and leopards. So like felines and birds are very common at this time. Not exactly sure why, but that was a common thing I discovered. Plants and herbs associated with Beltane: an almond tree or shrub, ash, cinquefoil, clover, elder, foxglove, frankincense, honeysuckle, rowan, sorrel, hawthorn, ivy, lily of the valley, marigold, meadowsweet, mint, mugwort, thyme, angelica, bluebells, daisy, hawthorn. Oh, I wrote hawthorn twice. Why do I keep doing that? Primrose and rose may be decorations, St. John's wort, yarrow, and basically all flowers because, again, summertime. And this is a time where all the flowers that you started planting, the seeds you started planting are blooming, right? So very common plants and herbs for Beltane. Now, deities and spiritual beings that you can work with, reach out to, or venerate during Beltane there's two categories of them. The mother goddess types associated with love and fertility. So we have Asherah, Aphrodite, Diana, Venus, Freya, Flora, and the Buddha Prajna Paramita. And then sun gods and fertility gods like Yahweh, Jesus, Pan, Dionysus, Faunus, Bacchus, Cernunnos, the great horned god, Belenus, Sol, Ra, and Lu. And then finally, spell work. Spells involving love, sex, romance, fertility, relationships, crops and gardening, protection of property or materialistic goods, creativity, wealth, and prosperity. So those are all the associations with Beltane, and hopefully it gave you a few ideas of spell work and altar items for you, and even maybe meals to make associated with the herbs that I listed. Finally, let's finish it off with ways that you can celebrate. Here are some witchy ways that you can celebrate Beltane. Some of them are broom closet friendly, and others may not be as broom closet friendly. So we have a mix of things here. Let's get started. First thing first is candle magic. Now, if you come from a Christian home, this is more of like a broom closet friendly thing. You know, lighting a candle, maybe putting a couple drops of essential oils in it, manifesting with it, stuff like that. You could even carve sigils in them, and as long as you just carve them lightly, or even just gently use your finger to like trace a sigil or whatever. That way it doesn't show on the candle. That's a good way for broom closet witches to put intentions in a candle without making it witchy or obviously witchy. Next is holding a bonfire for family and friends. And again, you could kind of walk in a circle or run in a circle clockwise to bring in that protection and abundance in your life. And if someone asks you, just be like, if I feel like running, and just run in a circle around the fire. Just be careful not to trip and fall, please. Be very safe around fires, okay? Next, magic that involves weaving. So if you're someone who knits, or ties or does knots, you could just knit something and just think your intention for the knitting in your head. What do you want to manifest? And voila. So that is a broom closet friendly thing, because it looks like you're just sewing or knitting, but in reality, you're putting in your manifestations in every knot you tie and every, everything you're sewing and putting together. Yeah. Making garlands is the next one. You could decorate a tree with colorful ribbons that represent your wishes for the coming year. Bonus points if you're incorporating color magic in it, so the colors of the ribbons can have significance, like yellow for happiness and joy, black for protection, white for purity, stuff like that. Or you could even decorate your room with these garlands. And again, decorating a room with garlands is definitely a broom closet friendly thing, because you could just say, I feel like adding color to my room. I feel like decorating a bed, just brightening it up. That's a good way to do that. My next suggestion is a maypole dance. And if you can't make a huge maypole, you can make like small maypoles, like miniature ones out of sticks that you find outside, and then buy the ribbon and then just put the ribbon on the sticks, and voila, you have a maypole. But then if you were able to have a big maypole, dancing around it, playing some music, having a celebration, that's a fun way to celebrate. Next suggestion for how to celebrate Beltane: take action on a project you've been working on. If you feel like you've been working on something for so long and you haven't been able to push yourself to finish that project, now is the time where you can finish it and work on it and manifest for its completion and its success. The next suggestion I have is to set aside time for self-care. Every holiday you should do this, I find. Treat yourself to a special meal, so like kitchen magic, kitchen witchery, that stuff, or even just regular cooking, whatever you prefer. Treat yourself to certain music, certain aromas, whatever makes you feel special and safe and calm, just do it. My next suggestion is to journal. What does Beltane mean to you? And you could even journal about what would you like to manifest as we move throughout these warmer months? As the school year is coming to an end soon, if it hasn't already for you, as you have more free time, as there's more time to go outside and the weather's nice enough to go outside, what do you want to do? What would you like to manifest? What do you want to succeed in? What accomplishments do you want? You want to make more time to relax and de-stress? Do you want to make more time to be productive? Think about these things and journal about them. The next suggestion I have is to make flower crowns for obvious reasons. And again, putting your manifestations in the crown. Whisper what you want this crown to bring you. Do you want it to protect you? Do you want it to bring you joy? Do you want it to bring you fertility and abundance? Do you want to use it for spicy magic reasons? Whatever you prefer. The next thing I have is to go on a nature walk and admire the earth. You could even give offerings to the fae on your walk. So like if you cut up fruits and you have like the peels or the tops of strawberries or the seeds, just throw them on the grass and give them to the fae. That's a really good way. Don't say thank you to them. Do not say the words thank you. Don't do it. No. And you can even ask for protection in the coming year. Say, continue to protect the earth, protect my home. I would appreciate that greatly. Next, you can dress in green just to connect with nature and feel like Mother Earth. I like to dress like an elf sometimes, but not in like an appropriating way, like kind of like in a way where like I'm showing appreciation to the elves. Because elves work really hard, honestly. Elves are like my favorite fae creatures, fae folk. Just as like an appreciation, say thank you, like this is in honor of you. Not thank you. I don't actually say the words thank you, my bad. But like, as a way to say thank you without actually using the words thank you. Because you should not be saying the words thank you, but you can show appreciation and show thanks, if that makes sense. Anyways, next is decorate your home with yellow flower wreaths, bouquets, or garlands. Yellow is a huge color here. Again, yellow because it's one of the colors associated with the element of fire, but also it brings happiness. It represents the sun. It represents fertility as well. Yellow is a huge color during the season. Next is you could do outdoor meditation, so meditating outside, go outside barefoot, close your eyes, just feel the breeze, listen to the birds chirp and the animals you can hear. Try to shut out any man-made things like cars or sirens or anything like that. You could also do a Beltane tarot or oracle reading. There are tons of spreads you can find online for that. You can make one up for your own. You can do a reading to connect with a certain deity or spiritual entity. Even do a tarot or oracle reading with the fae, stuff like that. You could do some spicy magic. Spicy magic is really great during this time. Again, this holiday started out as a way to embrace sexuality, especially between the divine masculine and feminine. So doing spicy magic in their honor is kind of a cool way to incorporate this. And then finally, fertility and abundance magic, not only for materialistic goods, but abundance in joy, abundance in confidence, abundance in self-love, growing as a person, growing in spirituality, so fertility for that growth, stuff like that. Those are all magical ideas and magic spells that you can do to celebrate Beltane. That is all I had for this episode, guys. Thank you all so much for sticking around. a few announcements. As I was recording this episode, I remembered that I did reach 1 year of podcast episode, and I did open up a little contest on my TikTok. So, if you would like to enter this contest and get a chance to win a free 5-card tarot pull or oracle pull of your choice, you go ahead and check out my TikTok page. It is exclusively on TikTok. Yeah, that's, please do so and enter it, and yeah, hopefully that'll work. Also, you guys have been really great lately, so I just want to thank you all for 1 year of podcasting. I have many listeners. I have 90 listeners almost, and that is way more than I thought there was going to be. So thank you all, and I can't wait to see this page grow, and hopefully have more people connect with me who relate to my content. I hope I inspired your path in a small way. So thank you all for that, for your support. I appreciate that so much. If you want to support me and my small business as I save up for tuition for graduate school, you can buy a reading off of me. That will be in the link tree below. You book on my Goldie site, and then you PayPal me the payment. And that'll be greatly appreciated. So please consider doing so and supporting my small business. Thank you in advance for that. You can follow me on social media for updates and for more stuff, and to reach out to me via DMs and stuff like that and ask questions. I'm always welcoming questions and conversation about my craft. So those are all going to be in my link tree below. Follow me on various social medias. I have TikTok, I have Instagram, I have Tumblr, and you can even email me questions if you would like. That's fine too. Also, you can join my Discord server, Crystal Caverns. We are really a welcoming community for witches of all walks of life. It doesn't matter what kind of witch you are, or if you're a beginner, or if you're more advanced. We would like to welcome you all. So please do join that. That'll also be in the link tree below. I think that is about it for this episode. So once again, thank you all so much for your constant support and appreciation. I love you all. I truly love you all and appreciate you all. So blessed be everyone. Have a wonderful day, a week, month, and year.